So we have now reached the end of our first ever 21 by 21 summit. So thank you for joining us on this adventure today. That has been, and hopefully everybody saw our cleverness, that we weren't overly clever with our 21 by 21 of our 21st century talent regions in 2021. And so it has been such a rich day of conversations from this morning all throughout this afternoon. And just want to kind of take a couple minutes to bring everything together for everyone before we all disperse back to our regions and back to our typical regular programming. That the theme that we're trying to help bring together here is that we'd like to be able to continue leveraging these kinds of co-learning opportunities, and to ensure that, you know, now that we're at this point that most of our regions who are here today are either designated or close to the milestone of a designation. And so you've had some of those conversations around looking at your ecosystem. You may not yet have some of those maps built out in the dashboard, and that's okay. But you've at least had some of that level setting. And so it gives us some common language to be able to come together around. And we have this tremendous asset that I think many people here have been able to be a part of, but many of you have not been able to join up just yet. And that asset is the Indiana Talent Network. And it's such an incredible resource in so many different ways. And so as we're thinking about kind of where 21st century talent regions can go next, and ensuring that we're providing you the kind of support that you see as valuable for the work that you're pursuing in your communities, then we want to continue to connect you with this sort of community, and also with key resources and conversations all along the way, that many of which can come through the Indiana Talent Network. And so I'm going to ask Gina Burdell, who is the network administrator of the Indiana Talent Network, to give a little bit of insight about ITN, and then we'll come back here to just kind of wrap up just after Gina can share some thoughts. So Gina, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Well, thank you, Blair. And as we've had a good, rich day today, an easy step that you can take to continue your work going forward is to think about how to get involved with ITN. And just a few little tidbits about who we are if you've not been involved. We closely work with the CCT team and 21st Century Talent Regions. Our backbone organization for ITN actually is Civic Lab and the Community Education Coalition with Jack, John, and Amber. And we started a few years ago just to bring together folks in Indiana that were doing this kind of work through the Lumina Foundation, which is where I was at that point in time. Fast forward a few years until now, and we've expanded the network to include regional collaboratives that all focus on talent and attainment, educational attainment in Indiana. But we're also a network of networks around regional and state level agencies and organizations that do their own reach and have their own networks throughout the state. A good example of a statewide organization or agency might be the Department of Workforce Development, the Commission for Higher Education, Ivy Tech. All of these folks are at the ITN table. So those are kind of who make us up. We are a learning community, as Blair mentioned. We try to foster a common understanding and vocabulary in these three areas of talent that align with the 21st century talent regions. We want to be very specific. We don't create programs, and we don't create more work for any organization. Instead, we're all about lifting up best practices that can be adapted and scaled by other networks and regions. It's really a professional growth opportunity for you in your daily job, but it's also your professional network for your own career within Indiana. We're kind of a loosely connected collaboration of the willing, and we all want to share and learn from each other about this work that we're doing. So we provide a number of venues for folks to engage. We have virtual quarterly meetings, which I'll give you those dates at the end. We have some small group discussions, one that we call meetups, which is really a networking opportunity about a determined topic. We have some informational webinars that we offer periodically for those who want to share their own resources. And then although we have a focus on talent, equity is kind of the umbrella that brings all of our work together, particularly since last year. And we conduct some various discussions about equity topics. We're calling them media discussions this year. They were book discussions last year. We have broadened that to include, if we want to get a little more creative this year, with other media, podcasts, blogs, those kinds of things. And our next discussion happens to be on Tuesday, the 19th. And we're going to continue the discussion that you heard at the keynote this morning on having nothing, possessing everything. But we have the current pastor of Broadway United Methodist Church who's going to join us. And he's going to talk a little bit about how COVID has impacted this asset-based approach that they've used, and also how their change in leadership since Reverend Mather has left has continued the work. So it's kind of a testament to sustainability through all of that as well. So just a quick preview of what ITN is going to look like this year. We have 3 focus areas. We are just beginning to get into our work plans about what this is going to look like when we have some teams, many of who are on the call today. But we're going to focus on an equity in all areas of the work. Very much an integration of the 21st century talent regions, whether you've been designated or you're in the process or just interested. We'd love to add you to the network to strengthen our outreach and our communication. And then we provide learning support or the content for all of our venues from these 3 areas of attraction, development, and connection. And we particularly want to go a little deeper this year into what the dashboards show for the regions and kind of mine that data for what content and what information is needed to help you with your work. So we're going to continue to evolve and try to keep things current and fresh for ourselves going forward. And I will leave you with these dates. We have quarterly meetings. With COVID, we went virtual and it's worked out pretty well, but we also have in between these quarterly dates, our webinars, media discussions, and meetups. So we would like to invite you and hope that you will participate in ITN with at least some representation from all of your regional collaboratives. And the CTT team or Civic Labs, or I can put my contact information in the chat box so we can follow up directly with you and at least get you on our mailing list. So with that, Blair, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Gina. And you know, we've had just an incredible day of conversations. I have many pages of notes from the discussions this morning, this afternoon, the one that we just got to have around connection. And so Gina just mentioned the discussion about dashboards and utilizing some of that information to inform some of ITN's work. I think there were a lot of common themes I heard throughout the day of, you know, thinking a little bit more around some of the relationships that exist there and how to utilize dashboards. And so we want to ensure that those learnings, those discoveries that we've had today are going to be incorporated into some of these kinds of opportunities. And so we hope to be able to continue to engage with all of you through ITN and those co-learning opportunities there. Since there's, I think, a lot of shared interest in different areas and just such a robust depth of insights that all of you are bringing to these conversations, that then we can tailor it to ensure that we're meeting your needs in your region, but really gathering strength from the diversity, the geographic diversity that we have here, and hoping to grow some of the different types of diversity that we have in the room here today overall. So we'll be looking to have some of that engagement I only got to be a part of our connection conversation, but I am deeply thankful for Secretary and President Elaine Beadle to have led the talent attraction discussion. Very thankful to the Executive Director of the Governor's Workforce Cabinet, PJ McGrew, for being a part of our talent development conversations. And we're going to be circling back with them on kind of how those discussions went, so that, again, your feedback is driving the work that we're doing to make sure that this is as valuable for you and your efforts as possible, and incorporating that in with ITN, as well as the continued evolution of 21st Century Talent Regions and how we meet you where you are and provide the best kind of support for you and your regions. So with that, I appreciate always the sentiment that comes in for various events that I'm a part of, where people will send a survey afterwards of, you know, was this helpful? What did you like? What did you dislike? All these different kinds of things. And so we certainly want to be mindful of that. What I sometimes, and I don't know if others are the same as me, but I sometimes struggle to have the time to be able to take those surveys. And so Rachel is going to be following up with all of our backbone leaders, who thank you to all of you for all of your facilitation and conversations today as well. So we want to be following up with you to be mindful of your time and get the best kind of feedback from you to make sure that we're meeting your needs moving forward. So look for some emails that are going to, and phone calls maybe that'll be coming from Rachel, so that then you don't have to be responsible or maybe be irresponsible, as I sometimes am, in taking some of those surveys, because oftentimes they just get lost in my inbox. So we just want to make sure that we're tailoring that experience for you as well. And before we go, then just a huge, huge thank you to everyone for all of your attention today, the great discussion that we've had throughout, again, for all of your incredible efforts that have brought you to today's conversation. And then for everybody who worked behind the scenes, the Amber Fish Vote has been just, I think, an absolute magician in helping us get to all of these different rooms and all of the different ways that we are able to have these conversations. To John Burnett, Jack Hess at Civic Lab for your tremendous insight that informs so much of our work throughout. Thank you to Elaine for helping prompt this idea. And so Elaine and your team at the Indiana Destination Development Corporation, you've been such a tremendous partner throughout. And again, to all of our facilitators who help to lead our conversations throughout the day. We couldn't have done this without you. At one point, we were thinking of how we could find people all across our different state agencies to help lead the conversations. And we're like, we're gonna have to find like 15 people to drive these discussions. We thought, well, wait a minute. No, we've got these great partners who are already in regions. So let's connect up there and be involved with people. And so thank you to everybody who helped lead those conversations. And again, for all of the work that you are doing. We look forward to continuing to engage with you as our work continues forward. And so just a last minute thank you to everybody for all of the participation here. And if you have questions, I know one other note I need to mention before we leave. I got a lot of text messages and emails already from people who are interested in being able to connect back up with Pastor Mather, Diamond, and Shauna. And so glad that people are interested in that. I'm going to connect back with them to determine what the most effective and efficient way is to connect up with them, because there's so much interest, which is fabulous. And we'll be getting back to everybody. So if you have questions that you'd like for us to follow up with them on, then please feel free to send them my way, and I will incorporate that with my engagement with them. So thank you all. If you have further questions, ideas, feedback, we'll look forward to engaging with you either through Rachel, or you're always, I love to hear from you. So please send a message to me or anybody on the team. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your week.